Got two lures here that might appear to look very, very similar, but they're incredibly different. I've got the Vertrex Max and the Vertrex Swim. Now, inside profile, very similar. Turn them and they look extremely different. The profile on these baits causes them to have incredibly different actions, and they really, you know, for two things that kind of look similar, they probably couldn't be more different. So you might be looking at these and thinking, all right, what is the difference? Why is there a different body shape? So you can see on the Vertrex Max on the left here, you've got a much thinner body profile. You've also got a flat part on the head that kind of tapers down to the belly. I'll just put that guy down for a second, but the belly's just a little bit fatter than the head section, but you've still got the flat part on the head. Now, what that does is it causes an incredible amount of vibration. As the name suggests, the Max, this has been designed for maximum vibration. Doesn't matter whether you're moving it slow or fast, the body wiggle that you get, you know, this sort of vibration that way is incredible. You feel it the first time that you tie one of these on and use it, you lift the rod, like, wow, this thing is serious vibration. Now, obviously we put a lot of time and effort into the design to get that maximum vibration. It's a combination of the flat head and the water going over the sides of the head, and obviously the slightly widened out belly. It all causes more vibration. You know, the slightly deeper body design on these than some of the, you know, I guess more traditional vibration baits, that deeper body, it also causes more vibration. It also causes a different type of vibration. You know, the sort of frequency that this puts out underwater, because of that deeper body, it's quite different to a shallower body vibrating bait. So the fish sense that, and sometimes it really triggers bites. And we've obviously found that these work incredibly well, really all over the world. I think we've probably sold Vertrex Maxes into, you know, over 40 countries globally now. They're quite a big thing on the inshore market in the US, and similarly in Australia, but you know, New Zealand, South Africa, there's a whole bunch of countries. Now, the Vertrex Max is ideal in, I guess, deeper water situations. It'll sink a little bit faster than the Swim, but you're probably thinking, okay, what's the difference between the Max and the Swim? So, and I've got two, just to let you know, these are both 130 size, we call them. So the measurement is 130 millimeters from the tip of the nose to the fork of the tail is kind of how we've measured those, but it's just a consistent sizing through the range. So anyway, these are 130s. Now, the 130 Swim, as you can see, very different design. It's still got a little flat spot on the head, so you can see that flat spot there compared to the Max. It's still there to help with the vibration, but the really cool thing about this is that it swims when it sinks. And as far as we're aware, there's no other vibe or, you know, lipless vibration bait that will swim when it's sinking. The swimming action comes from this belly design, and as you can see, it's a very sort of thin tapered design. The sides of the lure kind of curve inwards, and what it does is it allows the water to kind of flow over the body in a way that just naturally, as it sinks, this thing will swim left to right, quite a wide swimming action. Swims down, really attracts a lot of interest when it's swimming, and then when you lift it, the flat part of the head and the, you know, the combination of the body design, you'll get a vibration when you lift it. Now, very important to, I guess, realize the difference in these baits, that you won't get as much vibration out of the Swim version. And also the Swim version is really not designed to be slow rolled or just wound back in on a straight retrieve, whereas the Vertrex Max is designed for exactly that purpose. You can also use the Vertrex Max in a, you know, yo-yo style, but the Swim is really designed for that. Cast it out, let it sink down, give it a little rip, and it'll vibrate up. So you've got the combination of this upward vibration and then this sort of wounded bait fish swimming action, upward vibration, swim down. So that's the the real method with all the sizes in the Vertrex Swim. Vertrex Max, you can use exactly the same way if you choose to. It works really well. One of the key design features of the Vertrex Max was the level sink. So the idea is you can cast it out, let it sink, rip it up. That technique doesn't work very well if you've got a vibe that kind of spirals when it sinks, or if it doesn't sink naturally, it generally won't get bit when it's sinking. So the Vertrex Max, cast it out, let it sink, rip it up, huge vibration when you lift it, and then it'll sink back down. You can also use the Vertrex Max as just a slow roll retrieve, just your standard, nice and slow. It'll just vibrate along, and the vibration that you get at low speed is incredible out of this. The design is there to get maximum vibration, whether it's low speed or high speed. So they're the key differences between the Max and the Swim, but there's some other really cool things to point out about both of these lures, just in terms of the internal construction and the strength. So we pulled out some of the internal weights. This is the internal weight from the Swim, and we've got here, this was a different color obviously, but this is the internal weight from the Max. I think this one came out of a 110, I think, as did this one. So you can see the internal design of the lead is incredibly different, but the key feature that they both share is the super strong wire construction. So that wire goes into the lead, both ends, it's fully embedded in the lead, and it literally cannot come out. So you're never going to have strength issues with these. And I guess speaking of strength, they're made from a TPE material. So I've got the body here of the one that I pulled the lead out of. You can see the strength on these things is quite incredible. You just literally you can't you try and pull that thing apart and it's just not going to break. So the strength and durability on this TPE material really is second to none. It handles somewhat toothy critters with ease, and it just means you're going to get a longer life out of the lure. So they're designed and built to be super strong. Where are you best to use these? Now, it's a really tough question, and a lot of people message us and sort of say, hey, where's the best spot to, what's the best size for a snapper, or what's the best size for a snook? And it really depends on the situation you're fishing. So I mean, keep in mind, send us all your questions, guys. We love hearing questions. We're doing a regular series here of tackle technique, how-to videos. We're really doing a deep dive into all the products, how do you fish them, and how do we help you catch more fish on them. So send us messages, comments, anything you want, and we'll be doing a weekly tackle check-in. So what's the best situation to use these various lures in? Well, first of all, the sizes. So they start at a 75 and they go all the way up to a 150. So there's a 75, 95, 110, 130, and a 150, and that's common in the Max and the Swim. Huge range of colors. We've got different colors between different countries, and obviously some of the smaller lures are more, some clearer body colors, but there's a massive range of colors. You can go on the website and check those out. But yeah, where do you use each one? Now, what I generally try and explain to everybody is that, I'll take the Swim here and we'll just pretend these are smaller, but the Swim sinks far more slowly than the Max. So if I was offshore and I was trying to catch snapper or grouper or nanny guy or red emperor, coral trout, whatever country you're in, whatever variation of grouper you want to call it, I would be using the Vertrex Max typically offshore in deeper water in these larger 130, 150 sizes. Now, they can quite happily fish anywhere up to, the 150 I've happily fished in 80 to 100 meters. You don't want to have crazy raging current or try and be fishing in 20 knots of wind to do that, but they're incredibly effective. and that slow vibration down the bottom is just super, super effective. So deep water, those sort of applications for a Vertrex Max in the bigger sizes, the technique there is basically get it down to the bottom, and depending on where you see the fish marking on the bottom, sometimes you'll like rip it up quickly and just stop it. It's incredibly effective just doing that. You know, the vibration gets the attention of the fish, and then you just stop it there. And it just looks like a little wounded bait fish just sitting there, and I'll come and whack it when it's just sitting there still. Other times you can do the, you know, slow kind of lift and wind and just kind of let it sink back down a little bit. And a lot of the times, you know, the vibration will attract the attention of the fish and they'll hit it when it's sinking. Now, offshore, I would typically fish the Vertrex Swim in shallower water situations, and typically in probably slightly clearer water. So obviously the extra vibration in the Max is going to attract more attention. You know, dirtier water, deeper water, less light, the fish are going to feel the vibration. Slightly clearer water, shallower water, the swimming on the sink action on this is incredible. It really, really catches fish. So, you know, they see it sort of swimming down, and then it vibrates up, and the fish are like, oh, what's that? So, you know, often if you're fishing it, you'll cast it out. I typically do use this a lot in a cast and retrieve situation. There are times when I'll use it, the swim, just vertically jigging if it's not too deep. Like, you know, typically for a 130, 150 size, I'd quite happily use this in probably up to 120, 150 feet of water, sort of, you know, 30, 40 meters, that type of scenario. And it's incredibly effective, just drop straight down. So same deal, you can drop it to the bottom. I mean, the funny thing with this one is a lot of the time when you do use it vertically, you'll drop it down and be ready when it gets near the bottom, because just that swimming action, just swimming straight down, it's incredible the number of times you pull up on a spot, drop this down, and just boom, you're straight on. The fish have just seen it swimming down, and they've seen this thing coming down, and they just swim up and eat it before you've even had a chance to engage the reel. So that does happen quite a bit, but obviously it's the same sort of deal where the vibration attracts the attention, and then the swimming action will get the bite. So that's your sort of offshore scenario, and that really covers every species globally. I've got guys using these in the Mediterranean, catching dentex and, you know, red snapper in Florida. They just catch fish. So you really just got to match the right lure to the situation you're fishing, right depth of water, all that sort of stuff. As you go down in size, it's a really similar situation. The smaller sizes here, you know, your 75s, unbelievable for casting in shallow water. So even if you are casting in 2 to 3 feet of water, the little swim version in a really clear body, if it's quite clear water, a couple of feet deep, cast that out, you can literally just hop it off the bottom. You imagine it just kind of like sits on the bottom, vibrates up, and then just kind of swims down. Just doing that, working over a flat, works incredibly well. And it's the same technique whether you're fishing in 2 foot of water or, you know, even 20 feet of water, just matching the lure to the depth and the current. You know, that technique for snook, for example, in Florida, you know, Dingo, who's just been catching an incredible amount of snook, it's really his go-to lure is the Vertrex Max and the Swim, you know, when he's fishing slightly shallower, but casting it out, might be in, say, 15 feet of water, just let it sink down. So you literally just cast it out, maybe give it a little bit of free spool, let it, you know, fold the bail arm over and let it sink down, and you'll see it hit the bottom. The rod tip will just, you know, you get the little bounce when you see it hit the bottom, and you're literally just hopping it off the bottom. So, I mean, Dingo's technique with his charter customers is literally just keep the rod straight, 3 winds, stop, wait for it to sink back down, 3 winds and stop. It's incredible the number of times you get hit. Just soon as you've stopped and let it start falling, it gets bit. And I think a big part of the reason for that is the level sink with the Vertrex Max, because, you know, it vibrates and then it just starts sinking perfectly level, and, you know, the fish think it's just a kind of a wounded bait fish sitting there, it's not spinning or whatever. So I had some great fun fishing with Dingo over in Florida, catching big snook. He's an absolute master at, you know, the techniques behind these. you know, there was a really fun collaboration, sort of talking to him about, hey, I think these are going to work. And obviously coming, you know, from Australia, catching barramundi, we're like, hey, why is no one using these things for snook over there? They're absolute killer on the barra. They should work on snook. And anyway, Dingo's gone out and proven they're incredibly effective, snook, redfish, all that sort of stuff. So that's really, to me, a pretty good summary of where and how you're going to fish these. Just adjust the weight and the size of the Max or the Swim to the depth of water, the current, the water clarity. But once you've played with them, you realize the sink rate, you know, is very different on both of them, and just match up to the conditions. If it's really murky water and you've got a fair bit of current, I'd be going a Max in most situations. Conversely, if it's a little bit shallower, clearer water, you know, less current, the fish maybe aren't as active, a Swim can be incredibly effective at getting a bite. So go and check them out on the website. You can have a look at all the different colors. All the hooks on them, they're all BKK hooks. Super sharp, super strong hooks. They're ready to fish out of the box. And there's a great range of colors that we've really tried to match up to the different sizes and, you know, the different sort of fisheries in each country. So you can go onto the website, nomadtackle.com, check it out. Don't forget, send us any questions and comments that you've got really on anything to do with fishing that we can help with. Ideally, if it's, you know, explaining how to use any of our products, any questions that you've got, happy to help. That's what we're here to try and do. Explain how to catch more fish and have more fun on all of the lures. So until next time, thanks for watching.